Week 5 of the NFL season is upon us. After another crazy slate of games in Week 4, we get some really exciting matchups this week. Some of the top powerhouses in the league play, and there may be some sneaky upsets per usual. The Browns, Chargers, Seahawks, and Buccaneers all get a week off, but that doesn't mean we do. Here are our predictions for Week 5 of the NFL season. The sponsor of today's video is BetUS. If you haven't heard of BetUS, they are one of the leading platforms for online betting, offering a wide range of sports betting and casino games. They have an incredible variety of betting options on a ton of different sports. You can do so much on BetUS, including pregame bets, parlays, live bets, and player prop bets. BetUS is offering a 125% sign-up bonus when you click the link in the description. For any questions, check out any of the BetUS customer support options through live chat, email, and phone support. So visit BetUS, sign up using the link in the description, and start betting on your favorite sports and games. The Bears reached new lows last weekend, allowing the Broncos to come back down 3 scores and beat them in their own stadium. They're now 0-4 on the year and have to face a Commanders team that only lost to the undefeated Eagles by 3 points in a crazy overtime finish. The Commanders are not a bad team by any stretch, and they should take care of business against the winless Bears. Washington wins 24-17. The Bills once again look like the best team in the AFC after soundly beating the Dolphins 48-20. The Buffalo defense really stepped up and limited Tua Tagovailoa to only 1 touchdown with 1 interception, 1 week removed from a 70-point dominant performance. The Bills proved that they're still the big dogs within the AFC East, and now they'll travel to London to take on the Jags. The Jags are in London for the 2nd week in a row and will have the advantage over the Bills in terms of already being adjusted to the time difference. But I still like the Bills to win. They're better than the Jags on every level. Buffalo wins 30-21. Both the Saints and the Patriots got blown out last week, and the spread for this week's matchup definitely reflects that. These two teams are fairly evenly matched, and it should be an interesting game to watch. Pats quarterback Mac Jones was benched last week due to his poor play, and although Saints quarterback Derek Carr wasn't relegated to the bench, he didn't have his best performance either. His 127 passing yards and 1 fumble lost were not good enough to get the job done, and the Saints took a bad loss as a result. While I think this could be a close game, I like the Saints to come out on top. They have the better quarterback and a very strong defense. Saints win in a close one, 23-20. The Titans are coming off a surprising blowout victory against the Bengals, while the Colts had a competitive game against the Rams, but ultimately fell short of the W. Colts starting quarterback Anthony Richardson returned to the lineup after missing a couple weeks with a concussion, and he added a definite spark to the Colts offense. Meanwhile, the Titans absolutely dominated last week, only allowing 3 points to the Bengals and scoring 27 of their own. It was by far their best win of the season, and they'll be riding high as they look to stack another win against the very beatable Colts. This game should be an interesting one to follow. Ultimately, I think the Titans are the slightly better team, and if they can play defense like they did last week against Cincinnati, they should come out on top. Titans win 24-18. Both of these AFC North rivals were on the opposite end of the football spectrum last week. The Steelers got absolutely exposed by the Texans in a 30-6 loss, while the Ravens put the hammer on the Browns, winning 28-3. The Steelers are back home this week, but that shouldn't be too much of a factor. The Ravens are the better team with the far superior quarterback. While the Steelers' defense is the true strength of their team, they failed to show up last week against a young Houston team, and they'll have their hands full trying to deal with Lamar Jackson. Not to mention the Steelers will most likely be without their starting quarterback in Kenny Pickett due to injury. I like the Ravens to win this one and remain in first place in the North. Ravens win 26-20. The Panthers are still searching for their first win of the year after coming up short against Minnesota in last week's matchup. Their struggles continue on both sides of the ball and will find themselves outmatched against a very talented Lions team that just beat the Packers by 2 scores on Thursday Night Football. The Lions now hold the top spot in the NFC North and should continue their strong play against an inexperienced Panthers team. Lions win 24-14. The Texans have put together back-to-back dominant performances over the past 2 weeks, and they've put the league on notice. Rookie quarterback CJ Stroud continues to impress and has yet to throw an interception this year. The AFC South is up for grabs, and the Texans could certainly make a push for the division title. On the flip side, the Falcons have cooled off after their 2-0 start and are now 2-2 on the year. Quarterback Desmond Ridder's 3 total turnovers were ultimately what cost the Falcons in their most recent loss against Jacksonville. I like the Texans to get the road upset and continue to build on their previous 2 victories against a weak Atlanta defense. Texans win 27-16. The Giants have gotten embarrassed in all but 1 game so far this season. Daniel Jones already has 6 interceptions on the year, with only 2 touchdown passes to match it. Lots of fans are starting to wonder whether or not he was worth the $160 million he was given this offseason. And now, with the Dolphins up next, it's crunch time for New York. Although the Dolphins just took a bad loss to the Bills, they are still one of the most formidable offenses in the league and should have no issues putting up big points against a weak Giants defense. Dolphins win 31-13. The Bengals season has been a disaster. Joe Burrow has been struggling with a calf injury, and it clearly shows in his play. He's off to the slowest start of his career, logging only 2 touchdowns with 2 interceptions through 4 games. Their offense just hasn't clicked at all, and on top of that, their defense is a bottom 10 unit in football. The Cardinals are 1-3, but have played beyond their expectations, and even managed to beat the Dallas Cowboys 2 weeks ago. I like them to upset Burrow and the Bengals at home. Cardinals win a close one, 24-22. The Rams are coming off a win in an overtime thriller against the Colts. Breakout wide receiver Puka Nacua continued his awesome season, catching 9 passes for 163 yards and a touchdown. Now, they'll face an unbeaten Eagles team that just managed to scratch out a win over the Commanders last week. The Eagles still find ways to win games, but one thing is clear. Their defense is not what it was last season. They allowed Sam Howell and the Commanders to score 31 points in what was a wild game. I feel like the Eagles are due for a loss, and I think it could come this week against the Rams. Rams win 26-24. Last week, the Broncos rallied to get their first win of the season against the Chicago Bears. Things got off to a rough start for Denver. They were down 3 scores in the second half, but managed to make a 21-point comeback to tie the game and eventually won with a field goal. Meanwhile, the Jets lost their 3rd in a row, this time to the Kansas City Chiefs. Much to the surprise of everyone in the football world, the Jets actually played very well against the defending Super Bowl champs and only lost by 3 in a tight contest. Believe it or not, Jets quarterback Zach Wilson actually out-dueled Patrick Mahomes and had the best performance of his career. While he still has a long way to go, this is a huge positive sign for the Jet offense. This is a must-win game for both teams, so it should be fun to watch, but I do think the Jets have the advantage. Their defense is still a top unit in football, and the Broncos have one of the worst in the league. If Zach Wilson can play like he did last week, the Jets will get the W. Jets win 23-15. The Vikings finally got their first win of the season against a struggling Panthers team, but these are not the Vikings we knew from last year. The offense has been clicking, and Kirk Cousins is putting up numbers yet again. However, it's the Viking defense that continues to hold this team back. They're one of the worst units in football through the first 4 games, and now they're faced with the tough task of taking on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Chiefs' season hasn't been picture perfect, but they've won their last 3 and still have a top 5 offense in football, even with Mahomes coming off a bad performance against the Jets. The Chiefs should take care of business on the road. Chiefs win 31-21. This could be the game of the week. The Cowboys got back on track and dominated the Patriots 38-3 this week, while the 49ers remain unbeaten on the year and look like the best team in the conference. This will be a battle between 2 elite defenses, and I think we might be in for a surprisingly low-scoring contest. but if there's one person who's almost certainly getting into the end zone, it's running back Christian McCaffrey, who's managed to score in his last 13 games as a 49er, a franchise record. I think a late CMC touchdown will be the deciding factor in this one. Niners win 20-13. The Packers are well rested after playing last week's Thursday Night Football matchup against the Lions. Unfortunately for Green Bay, they lost that game, but can easily bounce back against a 1-3 Raiders team that have a bottom 5 defense. This should be a nice game for Jordan Love to get back on track after having his worst performance of the season against the Lions. I like the Packers to win on the road and redeem themselves on primetime, 27-20. Those are our predictions for Week 5 of the NFL season. If you agreed or disagreed with anything we said, make sure to leave it in the comments below. Stay tuned for more exciting content coming your way. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you for being a part of our Touchdown Kingdom family, and we'll see you in the next one.